Hey bees, I'm Marie from Humblebee and Me, and today we are making this very striking Indigo Lagoon Balm. So this DIY was inspired by a rather famous and rather pricey store-bought product. It's made with some gorgeous oils and butters and essential oils, and I think you're really going to like it. The most distinctive thing about this balm is its deep blue color, and in the original product it gets that color from a hefty dose of blue tansy essential oil. Now, blue tansy essential oil is really quite expensive. 5 mils of it runs over 80 Canadian dollars, sort of the last I checked. So in the spirit of making this more budget friendly, we're not doing that. The blue compound in blue tansy essential oil is camellia, and that compound is also present in blue chamomile essential oil and in yarrow essential oil. Now, I took a look at the chemical compounds that primarily make up these different essential oils, and yarrow has a decent amount of overlap with blue tansy essential oil. It's also quite a lot less expensive, so we are going to be using that instead. Now, in this product, I've used yarrow essential oil at 0.6%. And that really does not give very much color at all. It is a very deep indigo colored essential oil, but when you dilute it, it doesn't contribute a whole lot of color. So what I have done, if you want that deeper color, on the blog, there's a version that uses an indigo infusion that gives that gorgeous deep blue color, but without having to use a lot of quite expensive essential oil to get that color punch. The structure of this balm comes from a combination of shea butter and cocoa butter, and then there's also some lovely camellia seed oil and marula oil in there. That means that this balm has a really nice, fast-melting, lightweight consistency. So it stays pretty firm at room temperature, but once you kind of get your finger in there and start working it around and spreading it on the skin, it really liquefies, disperses beautifully, and sinks into the skin quickly. If you're missing anything or having questions about why a certain ingredient is used or where to buy something or substitutions, please go down to the description box below this video and click through to find this post on my blog, where you'll find all that information and a whole lot more. So come on, let's get started. We'll begin by combining our solid butters in a small heat-resistant bowl. So you're going to need 3.75 grams cocoa butter, and I recommend using deodorized cocoa butter if you have it, and 6.25 grams refined shea butter. To melt this together, we're going to pop this in a water bath. So this is a small flat bottom saucepan that has about 2 centimeters or 2/3 of an inch of water in the bottom of it, and I'm going to go pop this on the stovetop over medium heat for about 15 minutes to melt everything through. So after about 20 minutes, everything is melted through. You can remove your bowl from the water bath and set your hot water bath aside. So up next, we're going to add our liquid oils. So you're going to need 11.25 grams of camellia seed oil and 3.37 grams of marula oil. So you can see here we have quite an assortment of essential oils. The original product used a lot of them, so are we. If you don't have anything, please go down to the description box below this video and click through to read this recipe on my blog, where you'll find information on substitutions, because yes, this is an absurd amount of essential oils, and I recognize that most people probably do not have all of them, and that is totally fine. So we will need an ice bath for this. So this is a small bowl that has kind of a disc of water frozen, so I guess some ice frozen at the bottom of it, with a bit of liquid water on top of it. So I'm just going to cool this down a little bit in here. We don't want it to be setting up or anything, but we just want it to be a titch cooler so we can start adding our essential oils. You can see I've got a tiny little scale over here. It's accurate to 2 decimal points of a gram. It's the most accurate scale I have, so that's why we're using that there. Let's fire up and get started with adding the essential oils. So our first essential oil is yarrow. This is one we're using the most of. We'll need 0.15 grams. This is the blue part of the balm. We need 0.05 grams of myrrh. You need 0.05 grams of lavender essential oil, 0.025 grams frankincense, 0.025 grams rose geranium essential oil, 0.02 grams benzoin resinoid, and this is another one I'm going to use a clean toothpick to get a little bit out, since it's quite thick and tends to come out in really large blobs that are definitely going to weigh more than we want. 0.04 grams bisabalol. And for our last 2 essential oils, we need them in incredibly small amounts. We need 0.0075 grams of helichrysum and 0.0025 grams of ravensara. And for this batch size, I have really no way of precisely measuring out those amounts. So I'm going to use a clean toothpick for each. Get a little bit of essential oil on the toothpick, stir it in the mixture, and that is going to have to be good enough for this project. If you are making a much larger batch, you'll be able to weigh this out more precisely, or if you have a more precise scale than I do. But this is definitely not going to be anywhere close to a full drop's worth. So what we're doing here is we want to bring this to trace. So we want to be able to see a little trace of a drizzle on the surface. We want it to have, that level of viscosity. And once it's there, we'll move it to our container and then chill it in the fridge. Don't be afraid to kind of bounce between the ice bath and not the ice bath so that we get a bit more control over the cooling process. All right, there we are. There's our trace. Let's move this to our container. So I have a lovely little adorable jar here from Voyager. And there you go, you just made some gorgeous Indigo Lagoon Balm. I wanted to show you this version. This is a version without any essential oils, just so we can really kind of poke and squish around in here and you can get an idea of the consistency. You can see that it's quite creamy. You can move it around and scoop it, but once you spread it on the skin, it does liquefy really, really quickly and massages in really, really beautifully. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and if you're interested in a more indigo-y type version of this balm, please make sure you check out the variation I have presented on my blog. That is linked in the description box below. Pretty much all the ingredients are the same, so you can also find links to all of the ingredients, the full written instructions, information on shelf life, scaling, substitutions, and a whole lot more at humblebeeandme.com. So thanks so much, and I will see you next time.